right, in 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, this is Acci again, here with Merlin, ready to discuss the upcoming governance vote. And I think they're referring to it as the mother of all plans?
Mother of all proposals. I mean,
There
it
you
is a
go.
proposal. There's a lot to talk about this. I mean, if we go by the first bullet points, the burning and the replenishing of the recycle bins, and also
Hodler staking.
yeah.
And then finally the PlanetWatch top up.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and this is all having a big impact on the system, but it's probably hard to really grasp everything around it because, like, you're just seeing the bullet points. What would you think is now the most interesting part about where to dive in there?
Ooh, good question. Good question. I think obviously the staking, the Hodler program is going to be the biggest topic. But before we hit that, I actually have a question for you. I think most participants have already read the blog post, and there's been one question that I've heard echoed in a lot of places. And I think it'll help us delve into all of this if you can answer one question. That is, how is PlanetWatch going to dump more tokens into the reward schedule, the budget, by halving if they keep the same number of years, the 60-year duration? How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's in the proposal, it's somewhere very vaguely expressed in the sentences under this, which kind of had the necessity of we had to focus on the main topic. This blog post is super long. It explains a lot, and it's hard at this point to grasp. So let's maybe look at the new token release schedule of this whole thing. I will pull something up for this, but I have to make the disclaimer here that the numbers, they are close to being what we will see, but they can't be hyper precise because it matters in the exact moment of implementation of this model. The numbers can change a little bit, but it should be very small changes. This is how it will be looking. And if we look at those numbers, we can see that at the time where this everything is implemented, our reward balance is at 3.7 billions. And we're basically taking 1.5 billion for the new proposal, which is covering all the burning and the refilling and everything. And then we're left with 2.2 billions. And those 2.2 billions are now spread out in this new system where it's, instead of a halving every 4 years, every 1 year, basically annual halving. And this actually means the token distribution schedule is shortened down to 20 years. Like this is, we're going into like a hyper scarce model. And if you're looking now at the numbers, you will see like the first halving stage is 0 because basically we're starting at 0, no halving yet. This will start with 1.1 billion. And like you can see on this chart, it explains you like first halving is the year after that is like 550 million. Next is 275 million, and so on. What is really important about this fact is not only does it cut down very harsh and is kind of like Bitcoin on steroids if we're talking in reference to the 4-year halving cycle. The most important part about this maybe is that already like in the third halving stage, like basically after year 4, you're already over the 2 billion mark, and the total distribution until end is basically only 2.2 billion. So what is very important here from if it's a sensor owner point or if it's even from an investment perspective, is that the circulating supply is very close to the total supply in that moment. And we're kind of everyone was looking at the PlanetWatch token model about like how many tokens, 4.5 billion is coming over time, and it's hard to grasp from a finance point where the real value of the token is at. And with this new model, we're really focusing on a hypergrowth moment now for the next 3 years, 2 to 3 years, you could say. We will get into this more later. But then from there on, it's in a hyper scarce mode, but also it is very close to the total possible supply. And this really gives an understanding later on to the value of the token.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, because if there is a situation where you have 60 years of a distribution, and even though it still is front loaded, it's still a lot of time. There's still a lot of tokens left to be distributed after the first few years. I can understand how that could be an unknown for someone that's looking at investing. Whereas if you are putting out, you know, the majority, almost all of your tokens really within the first few years, it's easy to see where you're at in a few years is where you're probably going to be at moving forward, because the tokens are all out there. I get it.
I mean, like it's also like people have a different concept, you know. Some just want to get more tokens initially, or view it like also like, yeah, how many tokens are getting out there over time. Everyone has maybe also a different critical angle on things, but like from a very, very holistic perspective of the market and generally in crypto, or like also traditional investments to more like modern decentralized investments, you get a lot of value out of the sense that like the circulating supply is approaching the total supply as soon as possible. And this gives a very hard incentive to the next years, and kind of who helps us build the network now will get a lot of those rewards. And we will, of course, also in the meantime, further our API, get into the data sales and everything. But we feel like, especially after the transition into the last bear market stage, like we can't sit this out. We have to do something. We have to push everything to grow the network now, to have a good start with the data sales, and to make it worthwhile for every side of the customer. I mean, those that buy the data, they need a lot of data, and they need like cities covered and everything. Likewise, our sensor owners that can provide that, they also need to make it worthwhile. So we're trying to approach this exactly with this new model.
So basically speeding up the reward system as far as the budgeting per year, speeding up how we're getting sensors in the loyalty program, the cohort program, accelerating seems to be a common theme here. So one of the other things that people have asked about a lot, and was covered as one of the 4 topics here, is burning. We had a taste of it, or I think as Claudia referred to, an appetizer previously, where people would buy trees and there would be a little bit of a burn. This is obviously a lot more. How much was it again? It's something's getting burned right off the top, no matter what.
Yeah, like the with launch of the new token model, we're burning 700 million, and we're doing it from the future reward budget, which some people like. I saw even comments like, yeah, like, but why is it from the budget that is not even put into the market? But like, let's be reasonable. I mean, we can't burn from circulating supply. We would likely do that, but this is not how it works. We can't, you just don't burn the circulating token. We understood that this reward model has to be shortened down to a timeline, and to go into this annual halving model. So this is why we're burning initially 700 million and taking it right off to start with a more slimmer reward budget, and to go, we have struck a very good balance there of giving the growth, but also a good idea of the scarcity that is to come. Like it's kind of a system combating inflation in its design in a way.
Although, I mean, you mentioned you don't burn circulating tokens, but I'm sure if any participants want to just send their tokens over to PlanetWatch.
I mean,
you can burn them.
This is a funny topic, actually. I mean, we're having this burner wallet, and currently it's being sorted out with Algorand exactly which route we go there into making this. This has to be all there, of course, before the proposal gets active. So from the staking for the trees, we used like a pre-burner wallet system, and we wanted to already transition it, but like we figured out that when it comes to this new kind of thing, we need a very good solution, and it has to be also done together with Algorand to make a very, very good burning mechanism here. And in this burning mechanism, like the trees that go out of our marketplace will still have that burning on them. And we have this initial burning of 700 million, but of course we're also looking into future things of organic burning, because the only way you can burn from circulating supply is like you tease now. It's like basically people sending something to the burner wallet. I mean, we can't rely on that, but of course we want to also introduce organic burning, but this can be only on action basically. So if someone purchases something or does a transaction, a fraction of that is burned. This was not in the prior system and is also not with this proposal, but it will come in future as a balancing mechanism to everything.
Okay, the next thing was the recycle bin top up. And I know that affects like how our rewards are going to handle going forward. Do you have something to say about that one or anything interesting?
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much really to say about that. Like we have the recycle bins, and the type 1 would be approaching saturation soon, which is already covered by the bin merge of tier 1 and tier 2, which has to happen in the order now before this is implemented. But the refill will kind of give a longer lifetime to the type 1s, which are, of course, like the ones that are growing our outdoor awareness network. And for type 3, actually, it is pulling it out of saturation. I mean, like because this again comes back to the fact what I said, like everything in this token model and in this proposal is designed towards a hyper growth stage now for the next year. We are very optimistic about the next year. And so we also want to balance it out again and give all the sensors again the highest rewards, because like ideally in the end, while we can't steer that, they would saturate more close to each other. But like for now, it for sure in the growth phase at least lets people stop to worry about that, and we will add a lot of days to it until saturation approaches.
Great. I know the obvious one to ask about next. It's the Hodler staking. And we'll probably have a lot to go into that. But real quick, if you could touch on the PlanetWatch top up. It's been a question for a few people. I've seen some outrageous and probably ridiculous statements of what it might be used for, but it's 200 million planets. Tell us what it's going to be done with it.
I mean, like it's a critical but fair question to ask, of course. Like the thing is, though, we're not keeping it vague or something to be shady. Like the way PlanetWatch works and the way we are connected with also traditional finance and other partners, like we cannot put this on the governance vote to then use the tokens to cash them out. This is not a point. This is out of a point of possibility for us. The reason why it's called for marketing and management reason, I believe, is to also not to grow too high expectations on what will exactly happen. So I have to be somewhat vague here now, but there are different scenarios in for what we need those planets. There could be, for example, the situation that when we list at an exchange, you have to put in both sides of the token pair, like you're building planets USDT token pair, for example. Like you have to put a balance in for the planets. And like we have also traditional backers, and we are very also, we have this total tie between, we have very blockchain and modern decentralized DeFi based investors and backers, but we also have traditional ones. Like it's not so easy to provide those tokens out of our, because we can't take them from the reward budget, and we even to some degree can't take them from company allocations, because like investors wouldn't like that. So we really need a bunch of planets to do something for planets and PlanetWatch. Like there are other examples. Like I really don't want to, I won't, because people will be like, this is maybe the next thing that happens. But just as an example, a hypothetical, so to speak, if we're doing a giveaway, we can't also use planets for that. Our hands are generally tied in terms of giveaways, because like it also matters a lot with Italian and French law how such things work. And to really work a bit more flexible in this crypto world, and to use sometimes planets tokens where they are necessary, or create additional incentives, or even manage certain partnership collaborations. It is simply easier if we can put it out there, like on the white paper, that we're exactly reserving those tokens for this specific thing, and as soon as they happen, people will understand.
So when we were talking about the release schedule and the new 20 years, hypothetically 20 years is going to be the number, right? Potentially.
Yeah.
You mentioned that things can change based on when that happens. Like the numbers may not be exact. So
yeah,
if the vote does go through and we're approaching that February timeframe to start the program, would the new schedule already be in place, the new 20-year distribution, or would that happen at the same date? Would it happen ahead of time? Do you know?
I mean, the token model introduction is based on the governance vote, and there are different things that matter here. The numbers change to some degree also because of what exactly the sensors on the network are earning to that point, because not every time you're getting maximum rewards on certain sensors. So we can't hyper predict that number specifically, but this is the side where I mean, it won't be off by a lot. It will be off by very little. But then again, it also matters if we have a last minute issue or something, we can not guarantee this, that we maybe have to delay the implementation for 1 or 2 days. Again, the numbers change slightly, minimally. But this is why we didn't put it out so precise in the blog post, but in a way, I feel like people have to get a better understanding of it. And this only works like giving those numbers with a disclaimer. We will, ahead of time, again, before doing the implementation, give more precise numbers, but the final, the very real numbers can be only made after it's implemented, directly in that moment. But we're speaking here of probably by then changes under, I don't know, 0 point something %.
So we were talking about the annual reward budget and how it's going to change token release schedule from 60 years to 20 years. When would that be implemented? Would it be ahead of when the Hodler program starts and people are opting in for their sensors, or would it start? I don't know. I'm just trying to find out before, after, same date that the Hodler program starts, or is this kind of independent of the Hodler program, the whole change of the 20 years?
Like how we view it currently, it's of course that ideally it should be starting at the same moment. But I mean, if there is a certain technical holdup, there might be a situation where one thing starts 2 days or so before the other. The plan is we're voting on it, everyone on the network, and if it passes, which I would make the argument it should pass, the thing is that it both should be active on day one if there are not any slight problems. I don't think there will be much difference. So it might be that either one of them maybe gets delayed for 1 or 2 days or something. Or if there are any delays, we will communicate them ahead of time. But we will try to make everything towards one date.
So the last thing on the list is the Hodler bonus itself. I know it's a big plan. There's a lot of stuff involved. The blog post is actually pretty good about it. About explaining everything. And I think most everybody who's read that understands that there's 365 million plants put away for a year, $1 million budget a day. You can look at the tables and everything and figure out, you know, what could be your portion of that. And I think we're also familiar with the fact that, like, if not enough participants are involved, tokens are burned. Whatever isn't used goes away.
Yeah.
But I think out of all that, there's been questions about, like, oh no, what if too many people participate? And what if a little bit less than people, do we get more rewards, or are we capped out or something? And there's been some questions relating to saturation, same word we've used in the past for rewards, we're now using for this bonus program. So could you tell us, for once and all, what's involved in this whole saturation concern?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of asked basically already 2 questions in one. Like, one is about saturation and the other is kind of about how many tokens we're giving out and maybe what this is doing. So I will make some mathematical examples now. It is the only way we can get through this. I mean, it's not, but other people like such things. So I will start like basically with this calculator here, and I have put in very, very, very fairly moderate numbers. I can't believe this would be anywhere close to the participation. In this example, I put in like only a few of the turtles because they are just launching in like the diamond and golden bracket, a few more because we already sent out test units and a few people will get them in silver. I put like only 100 Equinos up here, like, and 50 in silver, all that kind of things. I kept it very low, even like type 4s, very low in golden and diamond. And already with this, we kind of see like those few sensors participating in the program would already lock up a total of 81 and something million tokens that would be required for participation of the sensors being there. But what you also see is that the max value of a share is capped out at 38 planets, and this is still above that. It's at 123. So everyone is just receiving the maximum at this point because only so little participate. Now, if I go there and just change 3 figures, like I will make the types 1s and type 3s in the diamond section, I will change them to 300. And I will even make the golden type 3s to 300. Already we see those 81 millions changing to 193 millions being required, but still planet per share over max value, you're getting max value, you're not get saturated, but you kind of have to think about the fact that we're already having 193 million tokens staked in this thing. You're still getting max rewards. Now, I will rather make a fast example now, and this is if I only change the Equinos in Diamond, because there's where the biggest staking is, from 300 to 500. On top of this, boom, we go to 263 million tokens. And there, planet per share is the max value. This is like the tipping point where anything more would get it into saturation. But I mean, come on, you have to think, if you're looking at current numbers or also the future numbers, if you imagine 263 millions being locked or used for the staking and not on the open market, it has to kind of impact the scarcity of the token.
Yeah.
And to finally show like the tipping point of it, now if I even go and add like 100 more Equinos to this, and for the matter of our network size, what are 100 Equinos? We're almost at 300 million tokens needed for this. And there the planet share goes down to 34 for everyone. So this is the moment we went over saturation. But I would make the argument that if you see this happen, being part of the program, if you see your reward dropping from 38 per share to 34 per share, you should be kind of happy, because it almost means like, look, 300 million planets are locked up to acquire this, to do this. So arguably, it has to impact the token. So, I mean, and even that, if we're just doing a rough overhead math here, we're not even at 2,000 sensors participating in this. Of course, like people who have Equinos will focus on diamond tiers. For some, it makes more sense to maybe, if they have more Kyteras, to put everything on Kyteras and distribute rather some in golden tier. But in the end, if people really want to do this, they can saturate it, but they will need to lock up so many tokens that it makes it worthwhile for everyone participating. This was the first part of this convoluted situation, but like I have to kind of branch out. I will let you ask more, but sorry, like I have to maybe allude at that fact, because like what people will also ask is the many rewards. Like how does this in the end work out? With our token model, are we not flooding the market with tokens or something? But this is not what's happening. Everything is in the initial design. I will go back to for a short moment, to the annual reward budget. And when you can see it there, like in the annual reward budget, on the first year, it's 1.1 billion. On the second year, 550 million. In this second year, we would pay out additionally 365 million as rewards on the Hodler program. And this is done via 1 million a day, where everything that is not claimed is burned. But if we assume that everyone claims the total of all rewards, it would add to the 550 million of the year, those 365, that's like 915 millions. It is still lower total annual distribution of our token to the market than in the first year. And then after this year, we have the moment where the staking is over. All the rewards have been paid out, and now the stakes become available again. And whatever this number is, I can only play a guessing game. Like I would say like, yeah, I don't know, 200 million, 600 million, who knows? Like we can't say it at this moment, but those get added in the third year to only 275 million being paid out there. because like we're already having the second halving. So I just want to make close at least the cycle there, that the rewards we are giving out are making sense. They're fitting into the token model. The annual halving is addressing this. It's all figured on this. And this is like the 3 years of the hyper growth I was earlier referring to. And after that, it's hyper scarcity. If you're part of the network, then if you went into the Hodler program, put those sensors out, staked on them or staked not on them, you're in the end part of it all. So it's not like the only way to be a part of it is staking. It is probably the smartest way to get the most out of it. But I would say everyone who helped to build the network will in the end profit of, after the growth phase, everything going into scarcity mode.
Got it. All right. So I have some side questions. I'm just to get light again for a second. I've seen some other questions. One of them very common in Discord. If people are participating in this staking program with their sensors, the Hodler program, are they able to still participate in the forest staking program on TinyMan or AlgoStake?
Yeah, currently we're thinking about that. Like, probably not, but technically you could. The thing is, obviously, the staking program doesn't require you to hand the tokens over. Our staking program, the Hodler program, works in the same way. You have the wallet, you have the tokens, we're just performing checks on it. So, but the thing is, we will probably also, to be fully transparent, before we implement this token model and the Hodler program, we will change something a little bit around for staking for planets. We still want to commit to planting trees. It's a very core asset, but there are other issues with the stake for the planet thing that we also want to address, and we want to change things a little bit around. So there will be still trees on PlanetWatch, but probably not the way like it is currently.
Oh, yeah. Kind of a teaser. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I guess we'll wait for some details. Some other people have asked questions like, hey, if I have 5 sensors running under me and I'm participating in this program and I have one sensor that goes down, like maybe one of them goes offline, Wi-Fi goes dead at that host location or something. How does that affect me in the program? Am I still eligible? Am I not eligible? Tell me what I should be doing to make sure that everything keeps going.
Yeah, I mean, like there are maybe even 2 sides to this question. Like one is what happens if it's not your fault, or one is if you have it under control. Like the thing is, if you're staking on 5 sensors and one of them goes down, you're not eligible for that single sensor, but you will get the rewards for the 4 others. This has to be like that, because we have to, I mean, there are always situations maybe where the user is not at fault in principle, or where he can't control it. But if we would open that can of worms, like we would have sort of the possibility of gaming the system again. So we have to like really make it bulletproof. And the only way to do that is like, if you're having 5 sensors and one is going down, you will only get rewards for 4. On the other hand, what you have under control is, for example, if you're having 5 sensors and this requires you X amount to have planets on that wallet, because this is how it will work, you will on the Explorer decide which of your sensors are taking part in which tier. This will calculate the sum that you need to keep on the wallet. If for some reason you move something out of the wallet and don't meet the required threshold, you get nothing, because this is the situation that you have under control. We have to put the responsibility on you that if you want to take planets out of this, then you go to the Explorer and maybe take 1 or 2 of your sensors out of the staking program to lower the threshold on the wallet, and then you can take the planets out. And then you still get the rewards for the other sensors because you're meeting the threshold. Those are the 2 scenarios.
Got it. I mean, you heard it here first, because I think that might be enlightening information, because I know some of us were concerned, like, is it all or nothing no matter what? But apparently, like you said, if you can control it, then it's on you to control it. If you can't control it, then luckily it's not going to penalize you to the same level. You can just lose the rewards for your one sensor, not for the other 4.
I mean, exactly like that. You have a full control, and you can even kind of change things up midway. You could, for example, I mean, this should also incentivize you to maybe, like, if you buy a new sensor, you can change your model there. You can change it for different reasons. Also, if you kind of, let's say you participate with 5 sensors in gold, in a gold tier, and you suddenly get more rewards of those sensors from them simply doing their job. And at some point you decide, you're maybe, instead of having 5 in golden, I go slowly for 1 into diamond or something like that. You can change your things midway. You have the full control to tap in and tap out your sensors over the Explorer.
Yeah, and I know that's something a lot of people are just figuring out, as far as the basically like a min-max system, where if I move it there, do I lose a little bit of a discount on what I need to hold? Is it better off for me?
Yeah.
So, you know, somebody has to do some numbers.
It has some interest. Yeah, I mean, I am sure there will be a tool out there which will help with that.
One would hope, you know?
Yeah. We know it. But the thing is that I mean, it introduces also some gaming aspects to it, because, like, in a way, you can always stake more on an Aquino than a Kythera. But if you have more Kytheras, it might be interesting to rather spread that sum than to bundle it to get like those rebates. And I think also in that sense, it is kind of attractive that if people have a certain staking gold, it's not like diamond is the 1 tier, that's the winner tier. Like, if you have more sensors, it maybe is smarter to distribute the planets you want to hold over your golden sensors in that case, because to get more of this extra bonuses from multiple sensors. And in the end, I would make the argument everyone is a winner, because you're participating in the system and getting rewards. And of course, PlanetWatch is having users that keep their sensors maintained. I mean, if you're having it locked on 5 sensors, you are making sure those 5 sensors are running. They have a running license. And if something goes down at a host location, you will probably care to keep it up running again, which in the end makes it sure that our network is working and a lot of data is collected, which makes data sales easier to go and more worthwhile.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing seems to be built to drive acceleration of growth and to make sure that all the participants are doing their job to make sure the network is strong and basically positioned for getting those data sales. That's good stuff.
I mean, like, to some degree, it also, of course, it asks for commitment. You have to make that first point. Like the same, like with the loyalty system, you have to tap into it and activate your licenses. This is a part of commitment. And now it's also like with the stakes, you're committing to keeping those sensors running, because everything only works if you're not only doing the stakes, but also the sensors are properly running. But in the end, this kind of commitment will help everyone, and only like this can make the sensor network really grow, and kind of it's a necessary stage to go into the data sales via the API. It's all a preparation for this.
Okay, I've got one last question here that was asked by someone. It was how is someone as a participant going to monitor their eligibility during the process. So, for example, I know that I've got to get in and run sensors and staking for those 365 days, and then I got to keep things running for another year, basically, and keep meeting the eligibility. So, how will there be a tool that all the participants can use, or is something being designed that allows us to go, okay, I was eligible yesterday. Oh, I messed up today because I moved some planets out. I need to fix that. Is there a way to monitor that?
Yeah. This is a part, like, which is a very good question. I am honestly not 100% sure at this time, because like we're just finished with the loyalty program. Our devs are working on this, but it's very back end kind of work. Like, I am usually introduced to the things more if they have a UI. And by the way, we have a very cool new UI developer also. And those things are like people like me, we're usually presented when there's something visible. So I have not 100% in mind how it will look. For example, I just saw mock-ups for this working, like how you tap in and out of the sensors, and that the point where it tells you that how much you need in a wallet exactly tells you that you're eligible or meeting the threshold, which is fairly simplistic, but you're probably right. We need like something that makes you in the next year ahead of time understand that you're always remaining eligibility, because like in the example of someone staking something on 5 sensors, and this is his game, it's probably not something complicated, because he understood I have 5 sensors in golden, I keep them all golden, and in the end I have to keep them running and have the same stake still running to get the rewards. But as I said, you can change up and mix up things, and this is a good thing, and I will totally give that comment also to our devs, so that we think about that ahead of time. Maybe they even plan for it. But like,
well,
yeah.
Great. Thanks for whoever brought that up on social. I just made a comment so that we could discuss it. All right. Well, is there anything else you would want to say about the Hodler program, how it's going to change PlanetWatch, or anything else?
Yeah, I would rather say like the Hodler program is great. Yeah, it's very good. You should all do that. You should, of course, all be a part and grow the network and participate in it. Because like in the end, like I will participate also with my sensors. But in general, I think it's a very good way to kind of make sure something works out in any way. Because like now, if you're staking, you're helping to make this token now scarce. And if the system doesn't saturate, you're getting a lot rewards. If the system saturates, your rewards get lower, but they are worth more. So it's kind of a very good model to really go in. And it's in a way, it's also something for everyone who enters the ecosystem new. Simply that we can really launch this into something into next year. And I am very optimistic about it, of course.
All right. Actually, I have one more personal question.
Sure, go.
Well, are we going to call it level? Are we going to call it tier? Are we going to call it plan? When we were talking about diamond, gold, silver, I keep hearing everybody say tier or plan. Or
the problem is we started earlier with cohorts and this kind of things, and now the terminology are getting more and more. I would personally call it tier, because like the things are fairly distributed, like mathematically. Like one is 10% of the other. You could do 10 silvers and also have a diamond. It's all evenly met out, and I simply will call it from now on tiers. But I have to ask Claudio, what is the correct definition?
or I don't. I haven't done this yet, but you know, there's a comment section below this video that people can submit what they think it should be called. And it may not be included or not, but I'm just throwing it out there as a community member.
Yeah.
Input's good. Say what you want to call it.
Our Discord, always the feedback channel on our Discord.
Mm-hmm.
We want to really say that we're reading through the feedbacks in our Discord. It just is in this moment, we have a lot to do in making this work with the system, but everything is kept log of, and we're even discussing it. Sometimes, especially our moderators are bringing it up to us. We will work based on that. We just have to make everything work first now.
All right. Well, do you have anything you'd like to say to the audience? Because this was basically almost a two-part inaugural new format for us.
Okay, last thing I would say is I hope we can continue this format, and we also want to show other people of the team over the time. And if the people like this type of diving into content, like we will leave it to Acci probably to bring up the questions from community, to read around our moderators. We will try to be more active in response on that and try to discuss it in this way. More soon again, but we had the biggest topic now out of the way. We had to do it a two-parter. I hope everyone liked it, and I hope you will also welcome us doing more of this format.
Yeah, sounds great. All right, well then we'll close this one down and look forward to the next one.
Okay. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.